and welcome to another House of Wisdom video. And this knife I have been wanting to buy. It's been on my to buy list for a good while, and finally it came down to a price that I just couldn't resist. Mass Drop and Knife Outlet are offering this for just $100, and so I just couldn't resist it anymore. I had to get it. This is the Mini Moletta SR2A. The A stands for the aluminum handle. It also comes in a titanium handle. Some of the original ones did. And so I just couldn't pass up the price, so we got it. LionSteel is an Italian knife company based in Maniago, Italy. The SR2 was designed by Pensato Michel. The Mini Moletta SR2 is a smaller version of the SR1, which carried a 3 3/4 inch blade. This is a smaller blade that has a 3-inch blade. Recently, the SR11, which was also based on this basic design, the SR design, was released. It is a flipper and on ball bearings, which this doesn't have a flipper or ball bearings. It's on Teflon washers. But anyway, the SR11 won Overall Knife of the Year at Blade Show 2017, and LionSteel won Manufacturer Quality Award of the Year for 2017 at Blade also. So the company has good genes, and this is not the first year it's won awards. In 2016, it won Overall Knife of the Year with the Kerr Metamorphosis, which is a knife that when you grab the handle, it changes from a camo to a black and changes with color. And the year before that, they won Overall Knife of the Year too with the LionSteel TRE, and I have one, and I've already done a video on this. It's a great knife. So for 3 years in a row, they've won Overall Knife of the Year. They almost own their award. There's only one other company since the Blade has been doing this Overall Knife of the Year award that has done that 3 years in a row, and that would be Zero Tolerance. In 2011 through 2013, they won the award with the 0777, the 0888, and then lastly the 0454. It's fascinating to me what a value this knife has come down to. It's amazing that you can get the Overall Knife of the Year for 2017, and if you get it in the SR11 form, the full-size version with the flipper and bearings, it's only $150, and the smaller 3-inch version is only $100 if you get the satin blade. It's a little more expensive if you get the black blade. Well, we'll talk about the specifications. The blade length is 3 inches. The handle is a 4-inch handle, and the total knife length is 7 inches. The weight of the knife is 3.75, and you know I always like the lightest and best, and well, I'm just running out of it. A lighter knife for LionSteel would be the TRE, and it's not even the best and lightest integral. I have another integral I've already done a review of which used to be one of the lightest and best, the Reich 1508. It weighs 3.77 ounces. The new one I'm doing my video on today, the SR2A, is weighing in at 3.75, so it's a little lighter than the Reich 1508. However, the Benchmade Anthem now is down to 3.66, almost a tenth of an ounce lighter than this, so I need to get that one so you guys can get the lightest and best of the integrals. Reich makes a 3-fingered integral that's a little bit lighter than the Benchmade Anthem, but really we want a 4-fingered grip. It's part of my criteria. It has to be a knife that you can just grab with your hand. Well, we'll do some comparisons of size with this. We'll start out with the Spyderco Delica, which is approximately the same size. And then the Hinder XM18 in 3-inch. The blades are the same size. The handle is a little longer on the Hinder. And we'll try a Strider PT, which is a knife that's a little smaller. The Benchmade 940, which is a bit longer. And to compare the other convex ground blade that I have, the Rockstead Heisen, it's a little bit smaller. And then we'll go apples to apples with the LionSteel TRE, which is a bit smaller also. So there's a size comparison for the knife. We'll talk about the blade now. The blade is in a drop point configuration made of Sleipner steel and has a satin finish. This knife is also available in a black finish. The knife has a high flat ground grind ending just before that, so that's nice. You can grab onto it with your KME sharpener or whatever you have if you have a fixed angle sharpener, and that's good for that. The spine on the knife has jimping with good traction, and it's crowned a little bit on the top, although not completely. This is a little bit sharp. It's not completely crowned as a Chris Reeve Sebenza would be. The edge, as I mentioned, has a convex ground, which is interesting. Those of us who use fixed stage angle sharpeners just have to convert it to a fixed angle normal blade on the secondary bevel. Well, the method of deployment is by bilateral thumb studs, and it deploys nicely. Because it is on Teflon washers. You have to give it a little more oomph, but as you can tell, you can deploy it without wrist use, just using your thumb. The handle in the SR2A is made of aluminum, and those of you over on the other side of the pond, aluminium. And it is nice. This one comes in red. It comes in a variety of colors. I've noted that there are red, orange, green, blue, violet, bronze, silver, gold, and black. There may be other colors. It basically comes in everything that a bag of Skittles comes in. It also comes not only in aluminum. Some of the original versions were made out of titanium, the handle. The aluminum is the budget version. The back of the knife has 6 holes, and that's just for artistic impression. And there's a lanyard hold. Interestingly, whenever they milled it out and got the blade to go in there, the blade left a little segment here, so the lanyard hole is completely separate and protected by the aluminum of the handle. And on the side of the blade, it has this milled ribbing to give you a little bit of textured. However, the overall grippiness of the knife is not much. It's a smooth to the touch handle. The construction of the knife, it has a external stop pin here that's externally fixated, and the contact point with the tang on an open form is flat, as you can see. Whenever it's in the closed position, there's a cupped contact point, which is always better from a design standpoint, I believe. The pivot of the knife, as I've mentioned, goes on Teflon washers. It has a proprietary pivot I'll show you. Fortunately, the knife comes with this pivot tool, and you can disassemble the pivot. And for the glass breaker screw that holds on the pocket clip, there is a pivot tool for that too, so you can take it off. It's in the right tip-up right-hand carry right now. You loosen this, spin this over, and it becomes a tip-up left-hand carry, so it's good for right-handers or left-handers. The lock of the knife is a frame lock, and you can tell it has a lock bar insert as well as an over-travel stop. The over-travel stop on this is interesting. It is called a rotoblock. It's patented by LionSteel, and you can give it a quarter turn clockwise, and it prevents the lock bar from disengaging, and so in effect it becomes a fixed blade knife, and then you do a counterclockwise turn, and then you can disengage the lock. The pocket clip is one of my favorite designs. It is an end-attached pocket clip, and it's spring. It's just stainless steel, I believe. So this is the deepest carry clip that you can possibly configure. They're not the only ones to do an end-mounted pocket clip. As you can see, this is a Microtech UTX 85. Love that knife. And it has an end-mounted clip with a glass breaker also. Get a good deep carry when you have an end-mounted pocket clip. The ergonomics of the knife are nice. Because it's a tall knife, it really fills your hand nicely, and it has this nice subtle curve, nothing abrupt or jimped, and you get a nice release there. There is a cutout, so it's easy to access the lock bar and to release the lock bar also. The signage on the knife is minimal. On the handle, there's absolutely no signage. On the show side of the blade, it has the maker's name, LionSteel, the country of origin, Italy, and the steel type, which is Schleppner steel. And then on the clip side, it has the designer name, Moletta. The value of the knife is something that I've mentioned is impressive. It's going for only $100 both on Mass Drop and Knife Outlet. Originally, the price was $162. So, what are my overall impressions of the LionSteel Mini Moletta SR2A? I really like it. Are there opportunities for improvement? Sure, there are with almost all knives. I would recommend that they do what they did with the SR11. The SR11 is a larger blade, but it has a flipper and bearings. If they could do a mini SR11, we'll call it the SR12, I would just sure buy one to have a flipper and bearings, because I just like the way that bearings go. I think it's a little easier to flip, as you can tell. You really have to get your inner zen on to get this out, and you can do it without a wrist. You just really have to concentrate. Integral knives come with it inherent advantages and inherent disadvantages. One of the inherent disadvantages is after you use the proprietary tool to undo the pin, you have to take the pin out and then slide the blade out. Getting it back together can sometimes be difficult, and really my integrals, I try not to do that. I just try to keep them clean. I don't use them in hard use environments where they're going to be dirty because I don't want to undo them. I've watched enough videos of guys trying it that I don't want to make those same errors. I want to learn from their mistakes. Another thing that could be a disadvantage is that the traction point of the clip lies on the lock bar. This is a theoretic disadvantage because if you, I'll pretend like I'm opening it here, when you grab it to open it, if your fingers fall on the clip, it presses against the lock bar and can impede your opening. And I don't really notice that it's a problem in this particular knife. I just want to mention it as a theoretic disadvantage. And the last theoretic disadvantage I want to mention is the edge is convex. And outside of professional knife sharpeners, I really don't know a lot of guys that can sharpen a convex edge. So if you buy this knife, most likely you'll have a fixed angle sharpening system and you'll just regrind it to a fixed angle secondary bevel. What do I like about the knife? I like it for its value. You can get this rascal for $100, and I apologize that the Mass Drop is closed now. Maybe they'll open another one up, but you can still get it at Knife Outlet for $100 in a variety of colors. The black blade costs a little bit more, but I once did a video on the best knives of $100 or less, and I looked at those knives, and this knife would beat most of them as far as the quality that you get of craftsmanship and the quality of materials and the quality of design. So if I ever update that, this guy's going to be one of the top ones on the list. The other thing I like about the knife is the integral handle, or integral handle, depending on if you're a tomato or tomato guy. You get a solidity with an integral handle that doesn't wiggle, it doesn't move, and it's not going anywhere. It feels really good. The other thing I like is the ingenuity and creativity of the rotoblock system. I personally don't know if I'm going to use this a lot, but I like it that they're just coming up with innovative new ideas with knives, because knives can get kind of stale and all of them seem to be all the same. This knife is different. It has some ingenuity attached to it. So, in summary, who is this knife going to be for? First of all, I think it's going to be for the value customer, the guy that always wanted an integral knife but didn't want to pay into the $200 to $400 range. This comes in at the $100 range. I would recommend it. And those who feel that washers are a superior bearing system for hard use knives because they're easier to maintain, and there are those Chris Reeves type people out there that really don't like bearing knives. They would prefer washer knives because if you're in the sand and the mud, they're easier to maintain. And the type of person that is a fixed blade guy is thinking about switching over to using some flippers or some folding knives, and they're a little concerned that the lock bar might fail. With this rotoblock, wow, this lock bar is not going to fail. Even without the rotoblock, it probably wouldn't fail, but it's an ingenious little tool. And lastly, this knife is for those who want a superior fit and finish from the company that owns the overall Knife of the Year award for the past 3 years, LionSteel, and many of the other quality manufacturing awards, and all the things that go along with that. It's got a lock bar insert. It's got the over travel stop. It is impeccable in its detail and fit and finish. Well, that's the LionSteel Mini Moletta. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Tune in again for the next one. Like and subscribe if you haven't, and we'll see you on the next lightest and best House of Wisdom knife video.